It's 2025, and at this point, you've already been a part of a book club before, or you've never been a part of a book club because you don't know if you have anything valuable to provide to the conversation, or you don't think people want to listen to what you have to say, or maybe you just don't like the books that are being covered in book clubs, or maybe they're paywalled and you don't want to pay to be a part of a book club. All of those reasons are valid. So if you've never been a part of a book club, hopefully this video helps change your mind a little bit and leans towards the other way in terms of joining someone's book club, because that's what I did. So to give a little bit of background, I have never been a part of a book club before. I've always talked about maybe joining one in the past, thinking about it, never actually committing to it, because deep down, I just don't think people want to listen to what I have to say about books. I don't think I have the most deep, in-depth, detailed analyses of books. When I read a lot of books, it's surface level to get the enjoyment out of it. I don't go a layer deeper for the metaphors, similes, allusions, the tie-ins to other media, or anything like that. So I just didn't think anybody really wanted to listen to what I have to say about a book. And that just made me never want to actually try and join a book club. That's just me. Maybe it's, maybe you feel the same way as well. Originally, this video was supposed to be scripted, but I think a video like this, maybe it's better if it comes from the heart. So in October, November-ish of 2024, an author friend of mine reached out about his new book coming out today, actually. And whether or not I wanted to read the ARC of it, he offered the ARC to me. And if you don't know what an ARC is, it's an advanced reader copy. It's something that, authors will give. Basically, authors will give their book in advance to people with maybe the expectation, but not the obligation. Maybe the expectation that the reader will read it, post about it, put a review online about it, talk about it, etc., for when their book actually launches. It's just one of the pre-launch things that authors do. So Tim, a friend of mine, who actually released A Vengeful Realm, The Scales of Balance, which I've talked about on this channel before, and I've talked about the entire trilogy on this channel before. I was chatting with him about finishing book 3, Age of the End, and then he kind of let me know that Ghosts of Rheynia, which is his next standalone story, but a prequel to the A Vengeful Realm story, is coming out. And I said, sign me up. Whatever I have to do, whoever I have to give my arm to, do I need to cut off a toe and provide it? I'll do whatever it takes. Send me Ghosts of Rheynia, because A Vengeful Realm and the world and the stories are one of my favorites that I've read in the past half a decade. But Tim also had offered if I wanted to join the Discord. He is doing a little ARC book club with a few of the other readers who have gotten an ARC. And I was a bit apprehensive at first, because I thought, what if people don't like me? Like, what do I really have to provide to this conversation? What am I really going to talk about? Maybe people are more emotional readers, will connect to the story more than I will. Am I like, what value am I going to provide in this situation? I ended up saying yes. I ended up committing to this because I thought maybe it'll be a good experience. And I was already also a little bit scared, because when I read books, I don't catch all the little details. I was kind of scared almost coming off as a fake fan, because, oh, you don't remember this detail, oh, you don't remember that detail, well, this detail was in this book, and all these things. And I thought, well, I don't want to humiliate myself in front of other people. I still I don't want to shoot my ego, all those things. But I did it, and we had our last book club call 3 days ago, and it was one of the coolest experiences that I've had in a while. It made me definitely question, why I haven't done that sooner, why I haven't joined one sooner. And so this video really is just my experience with the book club, what I thought about it, why I think it was really cool, and then to also tell you about Ghosts of Rheynia. So quickly, let's just talk about Ghosts of Rheynia, and then I'll talk more about the book as I'm talking about the book club. I didn't do a good enough job really talking about Ghosts of Rheynia, so if you'll allow me a little bit of your time to really explain to you what Ghosts of Rheynia is and tell you the premise about it, then hopefully that will give you a little bit more insight into if you want to read it or not. So, like I said previously, Ghosts of Rheynia centers around Rheynia. Rheynia is a character, one of the main characters in the main Vengeful Realm series. So Ghost of Rheynia is a prequel story centered around her back where she came from, Rheynia. Okay? Yes, we know Rheynia and Rheynia are very similar in naming convention. Tim also let us know that originally her name was Rheynia, and then the world's name was Rheynia, and his editor was like, you need to change that. And I thought that was so funny. But anyways, this is a backstory for Rheynia. So essentially, in Rheynia, you have the ruler of the Skeleton King. Now, the Skeleton King is this very villainistic blood mage who, throughout the years, as long as his reign has been, and all the wars and civil wars and outbursts that there have been in this little kingdom, the Skeleton King has been presiding over the entire world, and it has turned Rheynia into this apocalyptic cesspool of, although they have progressive tech, but they have a whole regressive environment. You can't die in Rheynia. I'm going to repeat that one more time. You cannot die in Rheynia. In Rheynia, you either get turned into a hollow, which is a emotionless flesh bag. You get turned into a shade, which simply is a ghost, or you get turned into a darkling. And the whole idea there is basically you're this always tortured spirit looking for a human vessel to then inhabit and then take over. So those are your three options. Not death. You're living in some way. Either you're continuing life as a shade, you're continuing life as a hollow until you probably die and turn into a shade or a darkling, or living as a darkling, like flying around trying to find a host to inhabit. So not really the most sunshine and rainbows of a place. In this world, Rheynia is part of this faction called the Underground. Her half-sister Layla is part of this faction called the Wraith, and they are one's trying to fight and one's trying to run away from the main Skeleton King faction called the Orator. That's how the story starts, essentially. And this is basically Rheynia and Layla's journey of fighting, running, their combat with each other. Enter Dracus, alias, who is one of the coolest characters that I've enjoyed in this world. He is an individual with his own dark past and secrets, just trying to run away and trying to really take this young man who he has raised along with his partner Fox, and kind of take them out of Rheynia into a new world, trying to give him a better life, essentially. So that's just like kind of the overarching story premise, right? They're in this really bad, sucky fuckhole of an area, and one of them wants to fight to try and make it better, and one of them wants to run away, just get the fuck out of here, go somewhere else, and try again, like restart somewhere else. Layla and Rheynia hate each other. You know, this was I said it before. This story is basically about generational trauma. And that is what they both have. That is what they both have to work through. They both exhibit it in different ways. They both work through it in different ways. And as one of the ARC readers that I was with so eloquently said, literally everything in this book would have been solved with a 15-minute conversation. To which I thought, but then there wouldn't be a story to tell. You know? So that's Ghost of Rheynia, right? It is a emotionally engaging, very eloquently, articulately written story. It is woven beautifully, in my opinion. Choices are made that I don't agree with. Choices were made that other readers didn't agree with. Choices were made that the author was like, listen, man, that's what they did. My hands are up. I can't control that. You know? Choices were made. Decisions were made. Actions were taken. People die. Some people didn't die. And as a bloody mess of this entire story is, I loved the ending of it. I really did. I loved the ending of this book more than I loved the way the AVR ended. That is Ghosts of Rheynia from me. My review is out there. My review is linked below. The book itself is linked below as well. And well, I hope you give this book a chance. I hope you give Tim and his story and his world a chance. I'm glad I did. I know there's tons of people who are glad they did. So if you're looking to read a very, very beautifully written epic epic fantasy tale, Eventual Realm, Ghosts of Rheynia, they're at your fingertips. These books have layers. These books have hidden meanings, connections, tie-ins, and just themes that, although they aren't thrown in your face, which was amazing, they are prevalent throughout the entire story in multitude of characters. And so the reason why I love Tim Faciolo's books is because he's not pushing an agenda at you. There's no agenda being had here, but there is a story. There is an issue at play. There is a overarching theme and or multiple themes that he wants to, weave into the story. So that's kind of how Ghosts of Rheynia is, and that's how AVR was. I'm going to attempt to not spoil Ghosts of Rheynia for you because I think you should read it. It comes out today everywhere. So I would highly recommend you go pick it up. Not sponsored, by the way. I simply am doing this because I love his books and I want him to keep writing. And so I need everybody to go support this man so he can keep writing these stories. That's essentially what I'm here for. But let's talk a little bit more about the book club right now, okay? So what I immediately noticed, and to preface, I should say that this book club isn't just the readers. This is Tim, the author himself, helping run the book club every single meeting. So it's not like a reader is hosting a book club with other readers. This is the author hosting a book club with the readers. And I think I love that more than just sitting with somebody and talking about the book, only because, well, I have a list. One of the cooler things about this was Tim really talked about his writing process, how he was thinking, like what are the themes, what are the what's really going on in the world, where did certain scenes come from, how did they formulate. I never realized how long writing a story can take from the first draft to when it's on the shelf. It was really cool to have Tim explain that entire process to all of us. For example, there will be certain scenes where Tim would say, well, actually, this was supposed to be at the end of the book, but actually I ended up putting it into the middle of the book. Or this scene actually wasn't supposed to be these characters initially. It was only supposed to be these two characters, but now it's like these four. Or one of the coolest things actually is there's a character in the story called Drakus. Okay, Drakus is probably one of my favorite characters in the AVR series of the 4 books. He's probably one of my favorite now. When Tim had originally written this story, he told us that Drakus originally wasn't a main or a point of view character. Like originally, Drakus was just a throwaway character, is what he would say. But he learned to while writing the story, he really fell in love with Drakus' story, Drakus' character, the ins and outs of him, and then rewrote it to give Drakus more of a main character vibe in this story, which is amazing. I think that's really cool how that comes about. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the book club. I really enjoyed Tim would also give little author tips or tips on writing or what he thinks about as he writes or how did he write this? Why did he choose these? Why did he choose certain imagery? Why did he write it in such a way? Gave a lot of insights into the author process. And when you read it back, it's like, oh, that makes sense. That's really cool. There's parts in Ghosts of Rheynia which kind of either foreshadow into AVR or you see things in AVR that actually originated from Ghosts of Rheynia and you start making connections between the two. Because although this is a prequel story, they're obviously connected. I did not pick up on those, to be honest. I really didn't. I like I said, I don't read into detail that much. I also have a dog shit memory, so I wasn't going to remember it anyway. But other readers did. And it was really cool to see what other readers picked out and then what I picked out. And then we're all sharing what we picked out. Tim was never like, oh, you're thinking about it all wrong. Or you're thinking about it this is not right. Let me tell you what the right thing is. He was never telling you how to think. It was a lot of here's what it is. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? Like, um, what is this scene? What did this chapter make you think? Or what points in this chapter did you enjoy? And then we would bring it up, and then you would tell us about how that chapter came about, or like how that scene came about, or what he was thinking about, what was in his mind when he was writing it. Really, really cool insights, given that I'm never going to write a book. So just learning about these things was cool. It really did pique and satiate my curiosity. The other readers in the ARC team, some of them were writing their own books. So it's cool to see, like, you know, every now and then someone would pitch in about like what they're writing, or like how, and I'm sure like learning from Tim was a great way for them to kind of think about, you know, when I'm writing my story, what do I want to evoke? What emotions do I want to evoke? What thoughts do I want to bring out? What am I trying to weave? What am I trying to tell? You know, that was cool. I like that. It's kind of dope. If you can like think back, okay, I'm going to age myself here, but if you can think back to English class in high school or in middle school or whenever you had yours, and you would have like the assigned readings from the teacher, and they would say, go in the book, highlight, flag the similes, metaphors, allusions, allegories, anything you can in the book, and then you bring it to class the next day, and you see like, did everybody get it? Did everybody not get it? Etc. You only had like a 30, 45-minute class to talk about those things, and then everybody went home. This book club felt like a souped up version of that, where we kind of like, we read certain chapter sections, or certain like sections that were X chapter to X chapter, and we came to the book club meeting and kind of chatted about the chapters, and it was really cool to be able to talk about what I thought about certain scenes, how I thought about certain scenes, without feeling like pressure of did I find the right one? Is this one that I'm going to talk about going to be the cool one? You know, oh, I didn't find enough things in the sections, etc. There was a lot of very low pressure. It was super fun, super chill, and everybody there was amazing. Shout out to the team also, by the way. Super cool people, super nice. Loved talking to every single one of them. I didn't meet a bad person there. Hear me out, right? I'm not a theory crafter. My hands are up. My hands are up here, okay? I'm not a theory crafter, okay? I don't read books or get to like the end of the first half in a book and mentally I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen, or what if this happens, and I think this is like this. I don't really do that much. I just read that shit, and then whatever happens. I let the author just pull me on the ride. I'm not trying to like navigate my way. You know, I'll just go on the ride, whatever ride I'm supposed to go on. And in tandem with that, I'm not an emotional reader, so a lot of scenes that are supposed to be emotion heavy and supposed to evoke crying or tears or sadness or upsetness, that shit don't work on me. It really don't. I'm hard-bodied, right? I'm hard-minded. I don't think that makes sense, but I'm just not an emotional reader. So there were quite a few moments in the book where it was super sad. Someone died or something happened, and other people were like, "Yeah, I was so sad, and this made me cry." And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was supposed to be an emotional moment, you know? But it just kind of spoke to the different types of readers there are, the different types of brains there are reading. And I didn't have to be an emotional reader to enjoy the books, because I enjoyed the fuck out of them, right? I didn't have to be dig into the core layer of the book and find all of the hidden meanings of the book and the story and the characters, and that will give me satisfaction. Nope. Your boy was on layer 1 and layer 2 the entire time. The entire time. Tim told us coming into this book that this book is really about generational trauma. This book is about Rheynia, her sister Layla, and basically like it's a story of past generations handing off their trauma to their future generations, and then the future generation has to learn how to either live with the trauma, live with the baggage, or work through it. How do they work through it? Is it possible to work through it? What different types of trauma are there? Strained relationships, how relationships can strain based on trauma, like miscommunications, etc. That's all that is wrapped up in the story, and you really won't even notice it unless somebody tells you about it. You may not notice it unless somebody tells you about it. And even if you don't notice any of that, this book is going to be amazing for you. You're going to love it. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. In this story, this is a very light comment, but I think it just speaks to how Tim never pushes like an agenda. This story, like in Ghosts of Rheynia specifically, there's a already established male male romance, and there is then a what develops into a almost female romance, and it's never really like talked about in that sense. It's just like this guy and this guy, and then they're just talking about their time together, their relationship, like how much they love each other, how much they trust each other, all that stuff. And then on the other hand, the women, they just like, one touches the other's arm, all these things, right? And you notice these things, but there's no agenda of like, oh, a third character is looking at these two and thinking what's wrong there, what's happening, like it's two males or two females. There's never any of that, right? So it didn't feel like, obviously, like the relationship in that sense was not a topic to be talked about in the story. It was the relationship between two beings in this story, not a male and a male or a female and a female, right? Seeing or hearing what other people had to say about the book and certain scenes, it really opened my eyes to how other people, like, whatever books they've read, whatever life experiences they've had, color how they read books, right? The life experiences that I've had and the books that I've read color how I read books. And so it was great hearing other people's insights on what they thought about a scene or what they thought about a character, why they did or didn't like a character's choices, what they thought about like the overall story. It was great to see other people's insights and theory crafts and things like that because it was so different from mine. I was there for comedic relief. I was the guy who, if they were talking emotional, I was talking banter. Okay? That's just what I was there for, in my opinion. And I loved being there for that. I did. That's just who I am as a person, right? So I actually really loved talking about this book in the way that I like to talk about books, right? Jovial, bantery, things like that. Obviously, I haven't been as humorous talking so far because I don't want to spoil certain scenes in the book for you. All I have to say is I know who the snake is. Okay? They thought I didn't know. I told them, what chapter was it? I think it was like chapter 30 something. I was like, listen, I'm making 2 predictions on who the snake is. Okay, one of them is who I actually think it is, and the second one is a throwaway prediction, but I'm gonna just do it in case it's a left field type thing, like out of left field. And then we get to the big revelation, and I'm like, I was right. I'll take that dub. That was me. That was all me. I don't make predictions like that. That was all me. I made that happen. Okay? That shit was dope. Shit was dope. The amount of times we, as readers, collectively said, fuck you, Tim, and Carl to Tim's face because of decisions that the characters made, which he wrote in. We were like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Tim? Why would you do this to us? And he laughed. He was like, I don't know why I would do that too. Or he was like, listen, man, I read that. I wrote that. I get what you mean, fuck me too. Who knows? But it was really cool in that sense. It was really, really cool to be able to banter about books with the author themselves. I think that was a highlight of it. That's the only reason why I joined the book club, is because the author put it on, to be honest. If it was other people, maybe I would not have, right? If it was just readers, maybe I still would have, been a closeted non-book club person. And that was my first book club experience. It was cool. It was really fun. I'm not necessarily seeking out more, but as they come, I might invite more, Ghost of Rheynia does release today. I'm very, very proud of Tim for the story he's woven. If you are wondering whether or not you should read this prequel story before A Vengeful Realm or read A Vengeful Realm and then read this story, I can happily tell you it doesn't fucking matter, actually. Because the way Tim connected these two tales is you can read A Vengeful Realm if you want the full breadth of the entire story, to know who the characters are, to understand the world a little bit more slowly, right? Introducing the verbiage and the jargon and all those things for you. Or you can jump right into the bloody mess that is Ghosts of Rheynia, because Ghosts of Rheynia is a bloody mess. It is Tim's fuck you all to the readers. He said, you thought I couldn't get more damaging. Well, here is Damage the book. The motto of this book is blow it the fuck up. Okay? Anything that happens, blow it up. Anytime two characters are talking, blow it up. Anytime there's a conversation, blow it up. Anytime there's a battle, blow it up. Okay? That's my motto of the book. All right? Blow that shit up. There's no order to the books. I would kind of recommend, I would say read books 1 and 2 of Vengeful Realm. So that'll be Scales of Balance, and then Breaker of Chains. Then go back and read Ghosts of Rheynia. Think about the details that have been given to you in the first 2 books. Then read Ghosts of Rheynia. Take those details with you, and then read the last book, The Age of the End. I kind of think that would be a cool way to read the series. And when I reread these books, I might do that. The first book is a 5-star banger. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing wrong with the book. I couldn't find anything wrong with the book. If you can find something wrong with the book, you let me know, and I'll refute you, but I couldn't find anything wrong with the book. So read book 2, get a little bit more of the story, a little bit more of the action, a little bit more of what makes Tim Fascio a great author, then go back and read Ghosts of Rheynia to really understand, man, why the fuck do I not like Rheynia? And then when you read Ghosts of Rheynia, it'll really explain to you why the fuck does Arish not like Rheynia? Why does Arish hate Rheynia as a character? I don't hate her. I just didn't like her in AVR. Okay, she was my biggest fan. Or I wasn't her biggest fan. After Ghosts of Rheynia, she all right. No, big sis really got some power. Okay, big sis really got some trauma. Big sis really held it down for the gang. Big sis tried her best. So I can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at what she did. And the one thing, so if you're a speed reader, if you're not a very detail-oriented reader or a person, I'm not a detail-oriented person, therefore I'm not a detail-oriented reader. Tim writes his novels in a way where if you don't read literally every single word, you will miss the smallest of details that are like interconnected somehow. And you'll wonder, what did that even, like, where did that come from? And then you'll get into a Tim Fasciola arc book club, and he'll tell you, actually, in book 2, in this thing, if you remember this, that's this. And I'm like, I might have skipped that whole chapter because I thought it was boring, you know? So all I'm saying is, you know, Tim's books have layers, they have details. You can read it on layer 1, you can enjoy the fuck out of it. You can dive deeper on layer 2. It'll give you a much bigger appreciation for the story, and you'll enjoy the fuck out of it. You can go and other layer to layer 3, and you can really, really dive into the damaged characters that we have here and the damage that Tim is putting in front of you, and you'll enjoy the fuck out of it. And then when you get to the core, of the story, you'll cry. You'll probably cry. I assume people are more emotional readers than I am. Brother doesn't cry. Brother doesn't like crying. But you might. The last session that we had a few days ago was one of my favorite ones. The audiobook orator, Landon, joined us for it. And I don't listen to audiobooks also, but that's a separate topic. I've talked about it before. I don't listen to audiobooks. But every other reader's appreciation of Landon's like work on AVR and Ghosts of Rheynia have led me to think maybe I should give this audiobook a try. So I might in a future reread, listen to the audiobook while I'm reading the book, etc. But Landon was there, and we had a really awesome time. Like, we were discussing the end of the book, but we were also discussing because of this detail in AVR and then this detail in Ghosts of Rheynia, we know that this person spirit thing is maybe still alive, and these aren't spoilers because you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I didn't even know what the fuck we were talking about in the call, but we were basically theory crafting for like future novels, sequels. This would be cool if it done like this. This would be really dope if done like this. We know it's not going to happen, but it'd be cool to talk about. And I had my theory crafting brain switched on, and I was working. I was working that shit. But yeah, that was my whole experience with the book club, right? It was an amazing time to read a upcoming book and discuss it with the author and other readers, just to kind of talk about our experience with it. I didn't read the entire book at once and then join each like call for like those chapter sections. I read each chapter as we were having each section as we were having a meeting. I read each chapter section as we were having a meeting because I did not want to skip ahead. I usually am the person who skips ahead. That's just me. Listen, I don't got time for this, okay? But every single week we had the call was one of my favorite like times of the week. And so I made a point to really get as much as I can out of that experience. I only read the sections we need to read, and I only talked about those sections, and then I future theory crafted into the rest of the book because I felt safe to do so with the people who were there with me. That was really cool. It was dope. I loved it so much. This video was 34 minutes. How do I talk for so long? Can somebody stop me from talking for so long? Listen, I said this video was going to come from the heart and not a script, and it did. Okay, so my brain was all over the place. My words may have been all over the place, but I hope that you kind of understand what I'm trying to say here, right? Join a book club. I would argue join an author's book club where they're leading the book club. A lot of self-published indie authors do this. This is a way that they connect with their community. I think it's dope. I would like to be in more because, as I said before, I'm not planning on writing a book. I'm simply and I know that a lot of creators who talk about books and are readers are also writers themselves, right? You read and then you write what you like to read a lot of the times. I'm not planning on writing a book, so I'm simply here to consume the ever-living fuck out of any and all stories, tales, and epics. And I think a book club is a cool way to do it if you're somebody who has a hard time making friends or doesn't know like a way to get into like making more friends or newer friends or things like that. A book club's cool. Join your local book club, right? Try seeing like, if you connect with anybody there, etc. TLDR, the book club was dope. It was an amazing time. One of my favorite things I did in 2024. Ghosts of Rheynia is dope. Amazing time. One of the best books I read in 2025 because I finished it in 2025 so it's a 2025 book. All right. And Ghosts of Rheynia is out today. Ghosts of Rheynia releases right now. You can go get it. You can go order it. I believe you should. It is on par with the rest of the books he's written. It does not disappoint. And this is why you don't speak with the heart. Hello, editing artist here. Really quickly to interject for the second time in this video, more or less. One quick note. The book is out today, Tuesday, the 21st January. Tim does this really cool thing where when he releases a book, more often than not, he'll release the ebook for free for a very short period of time. So if you're interested in reading Ghosts of Rheynia, currently the ebook is free from Tuesday to Saturday of the week that this launches. So do not miss out. This was the exact way that I found AVR, the book one, Scales of Balance. I picked it up when it was free. I finished it 2 days later. So trust me when I tell you, you don't want to miss out on this. You really don't. So if you're interested, pick it up. I would highly urge you to go grab it. I've already grabbed it myself, even though I have the ARC, right? I've already grabbed it myself. And now for the admin. If you're new here, like the video, please. I would love you to. If you have read this series, I would love to know your thoughts on the AVR. And if you read Ghosts of Rheynia, please let me know what you think about it. I would love to know what you think about this book. Make sure you let the author know what you think about the book. Write a review on it if you're into doing that. Tell people about the book. Word of mouth is one of the best ways to get indie authors and self-published authors stories out there. And then last but not least, if you're new here, subscribe, join the archives. All we do is read here. We love bantering about books. And I'll see you guys next week for how I almost ruined my honeymoon.